Well, here we are, guys. Zero chimers in yet. Apparently, the hotel Wi-Fi is a little sluggish. It didn't start recording, go live until it was halfway through the countdown. So we'll give it a second. Let's let some people jump on, and I'll kick off. Kind of lay the groundwork with the new debut format, Kenny.
Yeah.
Matt, the ABTA live stream social media czar. I want that. I want that on a T-shirt, buddy.
We can do it.
Cool. Oh, you know what we can do too, much like before, is we can share this around.
Yes.
I am currently simul-streaming to my tracking page, kind of like what we talked about, but. Yep, there it is right there. ABTA is not alive. I'll let you share that around, buddy, to wherever you want it to go.
Yeah. I mean, you can share it wherever also.
Okay. Two comments already. Let's check them out. Howdy, fellas. How you doing?
Hey, everyone.
Brian with the Y. One of my best friends' name was Brian with a Y.
Let's see. I shared some groups.
Yeah, there you go. Hi, Frank.
Hey, Dylan, Brian, and Frank. All right, I got it shared to several places.
Sure, Tracy. Can't wait until next week, Tracy says. Michael Beck. Hi. Frigid PA. Hey, Mike. I'm in comfortable Louisiana right now.
I will be in Louisiana tomorrow.
I know. I wish I'd have thought it through a little better. I'd have held over my stay. Caught up with you. So, all right. Hey, let's roll, man. We're 16 chimed in, 1 likes, comments are rolling, guys. So, you probably perhaps you're wondering who is the gray bearded guy babbling instead of Kenny, and where the heck is Ralph? So, true to kind of what we leaked last week's live stream when I was the guest, that I was going to join the ABA team and kind of be the live stream podcast / social media guy to a degree, or at least a major contributor there. And part of that was, taking over the lives and in essence, hosting them. And this is my debut episode. So you guys be gentle and kind in your comments. I do have feelings. But no, so Ralph was unable to join us today. The intent was for him to join us as we talked through today's topic, but circumstances were such that he's buried for forthcoming event, right, Kenny?
Yes, he has to be up at 3:15 in the morning to get on the road to head to Louisiana. So he's 2 hours from me. So, and I believe we're meeting him around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, guys, hey, thanks for joining. Thanks for tuning in. Today should be a pretty fun episode. The intent today is to obviously get to the comments like we always do, but kind of deep dive the ABTA. Kenny and I kind of kick this around for a topic as we start the new format, and we'll talk a little bit more about what forthcoming topics, potential topics. We got some really neat stuff coming. Maybe we'll tease some of that later in the show tonight. But today is the ABTA deep dive, the origin story, the mission, the structure, the the vision for the future, and whatever else folks who want to know. And what I like about that is it in essence maybe a reintroduction for some new listeners and new followers and new people of interest might be wondering, okay, well, what is the ABTA all about? What is their origin story? What is their mission and vision? And that's what we want to talk about today. And heck, quite frankly, some of that is for my own good too. As the new guy, the new guy on the team, I'm always looking to understand it better. So, that's really kind of the heart and soul of today's discussion. And then, of course, it will evolve on its own merit as we get into the comments and stuff. But before I stop babbling and turn over to you, Kenny, can I read the mission, the statement off on the webpage?
Absolutely.
So check this out, guys. Straight off of the ABTA website. I want to do this just to kind of set the tone, set the groundwork. Frame tonight's conversation, if you will. So I can read, but bear with me here. Right off the ABTA website, American Blood Trackers uniting a nation of wounded game trackers. American Blood Trackers is a proud organization representing a community of dedicated individuals across the nation who share a common passion, using trained dogs to track and recover wounded game. Our members hail from diverse backgrounds and regions, united by and shared commitment to ethical hunting practices, wildlife conservation, and the art of blood tracking. From coast to coast, our network of skilled trackers and their loyal canine companions work together to ensure that no wounded animal is left behind. We believe in promoting responsible hunting practices, supporting wildlife management efforts, and fostering a culture of camaraderie and knowledge sharing among members. Through the American Blood Trackers, we aim to provide a platform for trackers to connect, share knowledge, and learn from each other, promote the use of the trained dogs in wounded game recovery, support conservation efforts and responsible hunting practices, educate the public about the importance of blood tracking and its role in wildlife management. Join us in our mission to unite and empower the nation of blood trackers, working together to make a positive impact on wildlife conservation and hunting community. So there you have it. That's a mouthful of good stuff. So you guys, Kenny, when you put that together, and I'm sure it was some bit of a collective work, was well done, man.
Thank you. It was, and that was not what we originally started. It was very, very close, but like anything else, as you grow, you learn more, you adapt, or you transition. And not to give away some stuff you're going to talk about later, but if you notice in there was a lot about knowledge sharing, and that's what we're about.
Yeah, and frankly, that's really largely what endeared me to the ABTA when I first started following. I just I watched some of the lives and I was drawn to the approach that you and Ralph took. You guys were my exposure to the ABTA. I like the approach that you took to that, and the way the approach that you took to tracking in general, and it just kind of drew me in, and it didn't take long, and then before you set the hook on me, and we had lots of conversations. So, you're right. So, if we start from the beginning, so to speak, and in the ABTA, we've got the mission there and what we're about. But let's hear about the origin story, of the two lonely old Southerners, and how you started, what's really getting some traction and growth.
Yeah, so I would say it for me personally, it started as a young, or I should say more of a teenage boy. I've been a houndsman my whole life. Deer hunted with using dogs, hog hunted with dogs. I've had bird dogs, pointers, retrievers, tracking dogs, and obviously when I was 16 years old, what I thought was a good tracking dog was not what I know today. But I was still out there, and really didn't train the dog. He didn't really know what I was doing, but I was recovering game. So that's where the passion started. And then, as you go through journeys in life, sometimes you kind of fade away from some stuff. And then, like everyone else, I got back into it because of losing a deer and, friends losing deer and all that. Well, when I got back into it, it was kind of, I shouldn't say when I got back into it, when I decided to start tracking more or advertising more, I should say, to the public, there just wasn't a lot out there. And pretty much in my area, it was myself and Randy Vick, and that was it for I can't remember. Probably hundreds of miles, or I know hundreds of miles. But anyways, early on in the Facebook days, the first actual Facebook group was the Mississippi Blood Trailing Network. And then about 3 or 4 days later was the Florida Blood Trailing Network, which was started by my friend Paul Omer. And I was right there at the beginning with Paul, and how it all started is we met some folks that Mississippi that we talked about it. They started theirs, we started ours. And I can remember our first meetup. I think it was the second year. We had 6 people show up in our state, and I think we only had maybe 12 to 15 trackers.
What year was that, roughly?
I would be lying if I told you. That was probably 12 years ago, if I had to guess.
Okay.
I could go back to the group and look. Probably more than that, maybe been 13, somewhere in there. And this year, our tracker numbers are a little lower, but we had I think it was in the matter of 4 or 5 years, we went from 6 or 8 trackers to 80 something. And then we went to almost 200 across 10 years. And now I don't know for sure. I no longer handle that part of it, but we're probably somewhere around 100 trackers. But anyways, what I found, there wasn't a lot of information being shared. There's a lot of people who just got a dog and drug a hide, drug a leg, and there wasn't a lot of people like really willing to help out. And so, I built a pretty good relationship with Randy Vick because we tracked together so much. And I never went to any seminars or anything like that because honestly, there really wasn't many. There was a track fest in Georgia that I couldn't go to. But other than that, it was mainly in the northern states. And there just wasn't a lot going on in our area. And even then it was about once a year, is all you ever heard of anything. So I wanted to find a way to get more. And we started hosting our own things here in Florida. We'd have a yearly get together where we'd work each other's dogs and all that. And, and then there was some legislative stuff that came through in our state that, although it wasn't intended to, I guess you'd say, restrain us or hold us back. There, in the state of Florida, you're allowed to hunt deer with dogs. And I don't know if you know what that is, but for those of you that don't, they can actually turn dogs out. The dogs will trail a deer, jump the deer, and run it through the block, and the hunters will be sitting at the road waiting for the deer to cross. Well, there started becoming problems with dogs trespassing on the neighboring properties, and and then tracking systems came out. Well, then our fish and game department came up with they call it the deer dog registration program, or the deer dog program. When they wrote the laws around that, it wrote in that if you had a dog that pursued a deer, you had to have what they call a DD number, deer dog registration number, that was for that property. Or it could be multiple properties, but it was for that registration number, and it had to be displayed on the collar. There was an exception for leashed tracking dogs. So when that started coming about, we started saying, hey, how can we circumvent this? And so we started looking at some certifications and testing, and also tracking was really growing in popularity. And everyone and their brother had a tracking dog that really wasn't a tracking dog. So again, we were trying to figure out what are we going to do? And at the time, there was no organization that had any testing within a reasonable distance of our state. So we developed one, or myself and a couple other people developed one for Florida, and we started testing dogs. And actually, I can remember the very first two people we tested was a guy named Justin Russell he had a Ladner blackmouth cur named Dozer, and Lindsay and Jeremy Kiefer. And it was actually at Lindsay's house. I think I got there. I went on 6 tracks that day, and I showed up at their house. I believe it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And Lindsay actually laid the test line for Justin. So this goes way back. That was probably 12 years ago that we did that. If I had to guess. So anyways, trying to get to where we are now, I decided to try to go through another avenue to bring some certifications into our state, and it was just tough. It was costing a lot of money. It's a lot of traveling, and it just kind of hit some roadblocks, and then there really wasn't a lot of educational information or events out there. And so Ralph and we were traveling to some events together, and we got to talking. We said, you know what, there's a dire need for more education. And that's how we started. Our organization actually started as the Southeast Blood Tracking Association. And it was, I think I still have the original logo that Ralph's wife made. It was Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
But all of a sudden, when we released that, people started calling from all over the country. Hey, what about us? Hey, what about us? What about us? Literally within 2 weeks, it changed to the American Blood Trackers Association. Well, at the time, we had no interest in testing. We just wanted to travel and share knowledge. And because there was a gap there that it just, now we're seeing more and more, but at the time there wasn't many. There was I think maybe 5 or 6. Now there's there's a lot more. So we held our first event in Fargo, Georgia, and if I remember right, it was August, blistering hot, and it was a no dog event. So the only dogs that were even allowed were there for snake avoidance training.
Oh, okay.
And the reason that we wanted it no dogs is we didn't want the distractions. We wanted to be able to basically just have a full day educational event. And I'd have to go back and look. We have it all on video, but we had a veterinarian there. We had we had a nurse, Tracy Byer. She's a trauma nurse. She went over some emergency response if there was an accident. Randy Vick went over tools of tracking some of the leads and lights and all the stuff that he used. And, I spoke on some training and sense on the trail and all that. And we just had I want to say it was 9 or 10 hours. And we had 108 people show up from 9 different states.
Wow.
At our first event. And I told Ralph, I said, hey, this is needed. If this many people is willing to show up when it's 95 degrees outside in Fargo, Georgia, in the swamp with just miserable, it's needed. And
wow, yeah.
We ran with it. And actually, it was at that event that we rolled out the testing. There was a lot of people involved with early on with different aspects of test development. And the reason we did that is because, like I said before, there was a big gap, especially here in the Southeast. When I was taking dogs to get them tested and certified, it was no less than a 6-hour drive one way. And then if that person wasn't available, I was having to drive 8.5 to 11 hours to the next judge. I had 4 dogs I needed to test. I drove all the way to basically the Louisiana-Texas line to test those dogs. So Ralph and we sat down and we said, hey, there's a need, let's just do it. And basically that's where we're at now.
Well, it seemed to get some traction pretty fast. And that was interesting to hear that origin story because I hadn't heard all of that before. You and I haven't sat down and talked in that depth. So that was cool for me to hear. But, it's clear that, that there's interest. I mean, just these live streams and the feedback and the interest and the viewership that you get here, and the growing events and all of that. So that's pretty cool. And like you said, tracking is becoming a national sensation, if you will. We can attribute that largely, I think, to social media.
Absolutely.
And organizations like the ABTA and the UBT in their social media presence, just making people aware of it. And it's a great thing. You was talked about in your mission statement there that I read, the conservation aspect of it. It's great, and there's no shortage of a need.
No, and if you don't mind, I'll share why I chose to put such an emphasis on conservation.
Yeah.
When you start talking about legislative efforts, most legislators, they don't understand what we do. They really don't care what we do. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But one thing, even biologists, they're not necessarily big on what we do as far as at that level, at the upper level.
Yeah.
But what pretty much every legislator and biologist does relate to is conservation. And even, let's just say PETA, even they're conservation minded.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start putting numbers out there of how many animals we recover that would have likely just died and went to waste. And you can argue that coyotes have to eat too, but still, you take a state. I'll speak for Florida and Georgia, since that's mainly where I track some in Alabama. Florida, you're allowed 5 deer a year. Well, if a person shoots deer and they can't find it, and they don't have a resource like a dog to recover that deer, they shoot another one.
Right.
Well, now let's say they fill their 5 deer. Well, now at least six was killed.
Right.
When you start looking at those numbers, or somewhere like Georgia's, $2. And I have literally tracked $9 for one person. When they're only supposed to shoot 2. So, and you start multiplying that, I think Ralph just released his numbers. I can't remember. He tailgate, I think it was 147 deer or something like that.
That's insane to me, by the way.
And I still haven't sat down. John and I, we track a lot together. Especially this year, the last 2 years, the hurricanes have hurt me, but we're somewhere right there around that 120, 130. And that's just 2 people, and I remember 2 years ago, just within an hour of me, with all the trackers within an hour of me, I think we recovered, it was close to 1,000 deer.
Yeah.
Just in my little region.
Yep.
That's huge when it comes to conservation.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
And when you start looking at trying to work with legislators, you start throwing those numbers out there, you pique their interest. So that's the focus, the reason why for conservation.
And you said something that I hadn't thought about, that which is why I love these conversations, is I've always thought of conservation is recovering the animal and all that. But what you said in terms of somebody shoots a deer, it's a lethal shot to some degree, but they don't recover it. So you have a dead deer in the woods. They're going to go out and shoot another deer now. So that guy is now shot 2 deer. One has a tag on it, and he still has a tag or so in his pocket to go, get more. So yeah, I mean, that's a great point, in that it's being used, more deer are being killed than the biologists would prefer, because deer not being recovered and therefore not being tagged.
Correct.
So that's a great point. And I can talk about excuse me, just the network I'm a member of here in Michigan. Last year, we're still collecting the 2024 season numbers, but the last year, the Michigan Deer Tracking Network, in its 44-ish tracking teams, recovered 1,097 deer. That was just 44 teams.
Yep.
No. Let me take that back. 1,097 animals. It was like 1,084 deer, 11 bear, and 2 elk. We know we do have some elk here in northern Michigan. So, but nonetheless, 1,000 game animals, over 1,000 game animals that otherwise, ostensibly would not have been recovered. And our numbers right now are over 1,000, and we still have probably 9 or 10 teams that we're pending their information on. So I think we're going to exceed that 1,097 from last season. So, and that's just from 44 teams in Michigan. There are more people. The state of Michigan had 241 registered trackers, because you have to be registered with the state. 241 registered trackers in 2023. I'm going to request the number for 24. So there are other people out there tracking that aren't part of my network, also putting deer on tailgates. So, right. So that's a really interesting, I'm not going to call it spin, but perspective on conservation. So that's
Yeah, and like I said,
like
when you start talking legislative efforts,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they want to hear. It's two things that motivate it: money, revenue for the Wildlife Commission, and conservation.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Easy on the revenue stream, because I don't want to have to start paying a tracking fee in Michigan.
Yeah. No,
fee.
I'm just saying that you know as well as I do, that's what they care about.
I'm being facetious, but 100% they do. Yeah, 100%. So, okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit then. So obviously you got traction fast. And in a matter of 2 weeks time, you went from a regional group to a national group. You decided quickly that, okay, there is also a gap. We need to come up with a testing method. Now, let's not talk a lot about the testing now, because let's tease that for some future podcasts and live streams. I want to deep dive into some of that testing, just to talk about what it's about and the testing philosophy. So if you're interested in testing and the ABTA testing and understanding it and the philosophy, tune in for future episodes, because that's going to be, I think, some fun discussion, and we'll get Travis on or whatever to talk about, and we'll just talk about some of that. But so it exploded, it sounds like, and here, so that now then that requires some version of uh, to manage it to the level and the vision, and we'll talk about the vision a little bit, but let's talk about the structure as it sits today, and it's a little bit still in development, but
and it always will be.
And it should always be evolving, situationally as things evolve. Yeah, that's right. You've got to be flexible and nimble and be able to respond to the need of the moment, just like you guys did early on from in a matter of 2 weeks. But so if you talk about the I hate to call it the core of the group, but the board or whatever, what does that structure look like today? And what and how is that evolving as in terms of roles and responsibilities and things like that?
Okay, so our current board, because we haven't met since you and I spoke.
Yep.
We have seven active board members. 7 board members right now, and it's an odd number for voting purposes.
Sure.
So I will say not every board member has a definitive task.
Mm-hmm.
There are some that do. Stacy Frost is our testing coordinator. Taking on, I don't have the number of tests that we ran last year. Ralph had that, but it was a lot of tests. So we had to have someone that can oversee that. And that is Stacy Frost. And Stacy she's been tremendous from day one. And obviously, as fast as everything's moved, we've had some hurdles along the way, but
of course you're going to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But Stacy's been our backbone there. Travis Bozeman, he's another one. His roles kind of changed. He started out on the kind of the judging. We have a judge coordinator, so works with Stacy to kind of help manage and oversee the growth and development of the judges, and also, I guess you'd say, organize judges for events and all that. And that's where Travis was. And then things shifted, and we have Travis kind of became what we call a line coordinator, because like our testing, not to get real deep into it, but that all of our test lines get reviewed by a committee.
Yeah.
So there was kind of a need for that role. So we have Stacy, Travis, myself, Ralph, Jason Byer, and why am I forgetting someone? Ralph had all this written down. I think he emailed it to me, but it's been one of those.
That's all right, man.
So basically, what we have documented for our board members. Board members are responsible for the governance and operation of the organization. They help guide the organization's strategic direction, policies, and decision making. And although every board member may not have a specific assigned task, they step up when we need something.
They're contributors to the overall mission.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, and as we move forward, maybe some of those will need to be in a more specific task role, and there's more people involved, like Kayla Tyre. I don't know how I forgot her. Jason Bell. We talked about Kayla a little bit on last week's. So there's a lot, and Ralph's secretary, Carrie, she is instrumental. She's the one that prints the certificates, mails out the ribbons, keeps record of pretty much everything. So, she's a tremendous asset.
Yeah. Yep. It takes a village, man.
Oh yeah.
It absolutely takes a village if you want it to, kind of like what I said before, if you want it to sustain and then get to a point where it can sustain itself based on the structure, that's the ultimate goal. And to do that, you've got to, it's hard to do because it takes people who are willing to jump in with both feet and make the commitment it takes. But if the structure is there and the roles are defined and, as where needed, the machine starts to feed itself a little bit, but will always have to be with the commitment, dedication from its members.
Right.
So
yeah, and we've had some transitions, like Carrie Patterson. She was our judge coordinator and phenomenal. I mean, she did a great job. She was a tremendous asset. I can't thank her enough, but life changed things for her a little bit. She had to take a step back. Coda Stewart, he jumped in with both feet, hit the ground running, and it's part of it.
Yeah. And you're going to have that with as young as the organization is. Like, I think it's fair to say that the ABTA is it's a solid, very solid organization, but it's a developing organization. It's a growing organization, and it's young. So you're going to have that. But as long as the core is there and you have people there willing to support the overall mission and vision, it's going to continue to sustain. And that, we talked about that when you asked me to join the team or invited me to join the team. That was a point of discussion for me. I love growing and developing things and being part of things that are growing and developing. I love doing that at work. I love doing that, throughout my football career. I just love doing that. So when you asked me to invited me to be a member of the team, I was thrilled to death with it, and saw it as an opportunity to help grow and develop something that has already got a good footing, but has a lot of upward potential, man. I just think there's some really cool stuff.
We have, as you said, we have a lot coming.
Yeah, there's a lot coming, and it was very appealing to me. So that's kind of the board structure. Do you know how many judges, accredited judges, I'll call them ABTA accredited judges, we have?
Let's see. So I'll just go down the list. With the states, in Alabama we have 3. Arkansas right now we have 1. Florida 8. Georgia 3. Iowa 4. Louisiana 1. Maryland 1. Michigan 1. soon to be 2. Mississippi 1, Ohio 1, Pennsylvania currently 1. We have a couple in the works. Tennessee 1 and West Virginia 1. So I didn't count them all, but and then we have I think we have right now 7 that COTA that have applied that COTA's screening. Going through reviewing references, and it takes a little time.
Well, of course,
we want to make sure we have the right people, and that'll be the right fit for this. And we have, like I said, I think I said last week, we have one that's just has a couple of things left to do in Missouri.
Yeah, I think and that's important, because you don't. In order for, in my opinion, in order for it to be credible, it can't be just lottie-dottie and anybody. If you get an ABTA T-shirt, in a garment, we'll call you a judge. No, they've got to be people that are doing it for the right reasons, have some version of background in the tracking community, have and are doing it for the right reasons, have the right interpersonal skills, all of the stuff you're talking about. So appropriately vetted people, make sure that they are a right fit for the organization. That's just, you just need to do it that way, in my opinion. Again.
Right.
And so I it's okay to be diligent and let the process be the process and not rush the process.
And let me say this. Don't think that you have to have 10, 15, 20 years experience. We can teach you. That's what we're all about. We're all about coaching, training, developing.
Well, in you're absolutely right. And we had the judging conversation a little bit as you helped me understand the credentials. And and the reason that there's some latitude I don't want to say latitude, the reason that you don't need that legacy depth of experience is just by the way the tests are formatted.
Correct.
And structured. And again, I don't want to give up the ghost here. I want to put out teasers, because I want people to come back and hear about this when it is the sole topic of the night, because to me it's really it's really cool. And then when you talk about the philosophical approach to testing, it's similar to the UBT. I mean, let's pretend like it. There are some very foundational things that are very similar, and they should be, because they are the right things. But there are some other elements to it that are different, and they're intriguing to me, and I really look forward to the judging show, where we can really dive into those tests and talk about that philosophy again, just to tease it here. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun. But just based on the way it is done, fundamentally done in the ABTA, it allows for a little bit more latitude in judging prospects. I guess, let me put it in those ambiguous terms.
Yeah, and I want to say this, in today's times, it's too easy to train, coach, develop, whatever you want to call, remotely.
Yeah.
We have technology.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to utilize it. And going back to our mission, we talked about educating, and if you look at everything within our organization, everything is educational focused. We want to grow and share the knowledge within the tracking community.
Yep.
Well, that is part of our, if you want to become a judge, that's part of it. We have developed ways to train and coach judges remotely, just because it's, obviously we don't have a judge in every state, and no organization does.
Right.
And in today's times, most people work a lot of hours. They may not be able to travel to go to certain events, and so we wanted to find a way to still have them as part of the team if they choose to be. But and then even bigger than that, without giving it all away, you look at our testing. Our whole testing process is a progression design test format from the beginning to the end. We are developing dogs and handlers.
Yeah.
So everything ties back to that mission.
Yep, as it should. If you're doing something that doesn't tie to the mission, you need to either revise your mission or reflect on what you're doing.
Correct.
They've got to align. So this is a perfect segue, as we talk about talking about testing. How many tests, and again, not to get into the depth of detail of each one, but how many tests does the ABTA currently have on the books, and how many? And one of them was just announced, and formally, and then we talked about it last week. But so how many are currently in the books, and what is currently in development?
So
or how many anyway?
So we have what we call our started, season, and finished. Those three. Those we developed from the beginning. But it's actually 6 because we have an on-lead version and an off-lead version of each one.
Oh, okay.
And then we finalized the multi-dog off-lead test. And actually the first one is going to be administered Thursday. I believe we are administering 4 of those tests. That test has actually been in the development and testing stages behind the scenes for about a year now. So we're not just rushing out into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we said last week, we kind of teased about it last week. We have another one that is finalized, but there's the documents are still being worked. Last minute, I had an idea that I've been running by some of the board members. I shared some of the stuff about the test, but here's the thing: you get a call for a track. Do you have every detail of that?
Every single time, you know everything about it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put this out there, and actually, Ralph hasn't even heard this yet.
He's in bed. He's got to get up early.
Yeah, I tried calling him earlier. So basically, kind of last minute, what I put together, and so far everyone's loved it. And I'm just going to share it here. Is we are going to basically document the test may have this, and this in it. The judge, here's a category. The judge gets to choose something from this category, something from this category, something from this category. It'll be a minimum of 24 hours. We'll have the distance nailed down. But as far as the number of 90-degree turns, we're going to have it maybe 3, it maybe 6. So you're not going to get every little detail.
Right. I got you.
But the judge will have to, this is kind of where I'm going. That's why I said it's not, we know what the criteria is. But like I said, everything's about coaching, developing, and all that. And then, so before Darren Miner just texted me and reminded me, we actually have a drone test. We have a drone certification that we developed.
Really? Hell, yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So,
it's developed, but not published, right?
I believe it is.
Oh.
I have to go to the website real quick, but I believe.
Well, hell, I've got the website pulled up right now. Hold on. Well, maybe I don't know where to look. Events. Testing info. There we go.
Okay, it's not. It is not on there. I know we. So I just updated that today, and I think I may have accidentally removed it. I will get that corrected though. Let me pull it up. So if I don't want to go on memory, but we do have a drone certification, and although we are, American Blood Tracking Association, I don't want to get too much off topic. And I know Jason Byer just said gross, but the reality is drones are here.
I saw that. Yeah.
The reality is drones are here.
Yeah.
We can either try to fight them, but at the end of the day, what are we here for? We are here to help recover deer.
That's right.
So trying to find this now.
Darren was on a week or so ago on my podcast talking about drones and dogs. It was fun discussion. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm actually a drone pilot. I have a thermal drone. So let's see, I'm pulling it up now. And like I said, I just updated that while on the job site from my phone. I didn't have my computer. I was just trying to get it finished.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it right here. So the test guidelines, and I know we don't want to go in depth, but just to kind of show you where we're at.
Yeah.
It must be conducted at night. The target will be within a half-mile by half-mile area. So you will say, hey, it was shot here. It's somewhere. It'll be within the half-mile by half-mile. The operator must demonstrate the following: proper hunter interview to include estimated point of impact, wait times based on estimated impact, and realistic expectations based on estimated point of impact. Proper hit site / wound bed inspection and analysis. Verbally give proper wait times and expectations for all possible points of impact. Proper pre-flight inspections, proficient search patterns, ability to mark non-relevant targets, ability to lead the hunter to the location of the target, and FAA Part 107 license. So part of that is we are also developing operators should review the ABTA Wounded Game Drone Recovery Training Guide before scheduling a test. So here's the thing, and Jason Byer, his comments, we'll get to those.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Anyone can operate a drone. They're easy, very easy. It's very simple to get a license. What most drone operators don't have is the knowledge on how to conduct an interview, how to analyze the signs. Some states, once the target is located and it's still alive, you can no longer pursue it.
Right.
That's where we come into play. And I know this was controversial. I know some people may not like it, but the fact of the matter is drones are here. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. Maybe in some states, but we can either fight it or we can embrace it, and we can
find a way to work cohesively. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
And going back to our mission, what's our mission?
Right.
In part of that, we want to make sure that the hunters have the best odds of recovery as they can get. And if our name's on it on a certification, we want those drone operators to practice ethically.
Yep.
Well, the only way to do that ethically is to know how to read the signs. And some people say, and I know some drone guys, I've had this discussion, and some of the dog guys say, well, I don't go look at the hit site. Well, you should. Especially in a state where you're not allowed to pursue that animal once it's located alive.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree with all that.
So not trying to get off on a rabbit hole, but
no, that's yeah.
So those are all of our tests, and we're going to continue to develop more. Not, I'm just going to say it. Some people think it's a money grab. It's not. It's fun. It keeps people motivated to work their dogs. And like I said, one unique thing about our testing program is you have to start at the beginning. I don't care how experienced your dog is. You have to start at the beginning. And because of that progression design system.
Yep. No, it's yeah, I get it, and it's good stuff. So I have a question, Darren. Did you pass the ABTA drone test?
He has not yet, but so myself, Darren, Joe Tenney, and actually one of the game wardens here in Florida is a drone operator. The four of us developed that. We have not administered that test in an official capacity yet, but we are in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What are you able to share?
So
what are you using for the target?
A dog.
What? A dog.
A dog. Okay. So a deer and a dog's body temperature are the same, right there within a degree or so.
Yes. Yep. Which is like that 104 or so. Is that about what it is?
Yeah, 102. Yeah. Right. A deer is 100 and around 101, 102.
Okay. A live deer.
Couple of degrees isn't going to make that big of a difference.
No. Yeah. Cool. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. I love this stuff. And again, more in depth on the test, at least the dog test, and that drone test is interesting too. That'll be fun. You be sure you videotape that. You record it when in Pennsylvania. Best you
we
can.
Definitely will, because the nice thing about these drones too is you can screen record, and also while you're screen recording, it'll also record the audio.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. So. Speaking of Pennsylvania, what a great segue into the events, so there are some things coming up that the ABTA will be engaged with. And where are they? So what's on the books right now, Kenny?
So like we mentioned, we are leaving tomorrow to go to Louisiana for the Louisiana Track Fest hosted by Duval Catahoulas. We were there last year, and tremendous turnout. It was a great opportunity, great experience. Probably the thing I loved the most is there were so many new trackers that just soaked things up like sponges. We don't put on the seminar there. We don't really speak. We speak a little bit. We talk about our testing program and our organization. But this is hosted by Randall Duval of Duval Catahoulas. However, part of that testing process is some educational aspects. I don't care who you are, how good you are, how well you pass a test. We can find something to give you advice to work on. And there was a lot of new trackers, and they soaked it up like sponges. It was awesome. And it was actually Jason Bell. He tested two kids, and I know I'll butcher saying this, but the impact it had was incredible. Then I tested a young girl. I can't remember how old she was. Very young. I have video. She actually took her ribbon to school to share it with the kids at school.
Of course, I would too.
So that's
good for her.
That's our first event, and then the weekend after that we have the Florida event, which is in the Panhandle of Florida.
February 28th through March 2nd.
Yes.
And that is an ABTA event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Testing and seminars.
Yes. And this year, so last year, if you attended any of our seminars last year, you know it was mostly classroom setting stuff. This year is going to be a lot more hands-on in the field. There's going to be a little bit of classroom because you have to have that. So we'll right now we'll kind of go over that stuff a little bit first, and then we'll get out into the field. So some of our speakers at that event, Randy Duvall is coming. And I know I'm going to forget her name, probably Anna. His puppy trainer is going to speak on puppy training. Duvall is going to speak on basic obedience. Lyle Avis we're going to have an interactive wound bed analysis or shot site / wound bed analysis.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big one. We're going to, right now, the plan is we did this actually kind of in Pennsylvania last year. We broke the audience up into groups, and they had to kind of analyze it and share what they thought. So we're going to go even further in depth on that. We're going to teach people how to lay mock tracks, how to maximize their training with mock tracks, and even tips on, say you only have 15 minutes to work with your dog that day. We're going to go out in the field and show you what you can do to get you'd say best bang for the buck. Yep. So a lot of interactive in the field stuff. So after that one, I don't have it pulled up, but after that one,
it's Iowa.
Iowa, yes.
Iowa, April 11th through the 13th.
Yes, I seen a question earlier. I can't remember who it was from. I will be in Iowa. And I got to share this. Iowa last year, it was myself and Charlie Webb, one of our judges, showed up there, and we definitely did not expect the amount of tests that ended up happening. And Ralph was supposed to have went, and then last minute there was some illnesses in his family and he couldn't go. And let me tell you, the folks in Iowa stepped up. We had some people apply and was going through the, I guess you'd say, apprenticeship for judges. Well, they were pretty much thrown to the wolves and got the job done. It was, you talk about coming together as a team. Chris Moffitt, Jeff Still, sorry, my son just pulled up. Now I'm drawing a blank. His loud truck. These young kids.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, talking about Iowa, Kenny, and I looked at the judges list, and I'm obviously traveling for work and in my hotel room on my work computer, but my laptop at home, I extracted it, and Iowa is one of the top states for number of judges.
Yeah. Travis Apple.
There were 5 or 6, I think, in Iowa.
Yes, and let me tell you, they like I said, they really, I don't want to say that, I don't want to offend anyone, but they really weren't ready for what we had to go through. But they pulled it off. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. I was trying to find it on the website there, but yeah.
Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 right now.
Oh, only okay, 4. Well, I do know that I knew it was multiple, and I was surprised to see that there were that many in Iowa. And let me tell you something. I consider Iowa a northern state, and being a fellow northern stater, that warmed my heart to see the northern states embracing the ABTA and actively engaging there. So that's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, and I love every event, and the people I get to meet. I had a blast in Iowa. It was a ton of work. We got behind, it was like I said, it was and Charlie was a fairly new judge himself. He helped us in Alabama and would just I don't even remember how many tests he ran there, but and then he stepped up and said, "I'm going to Iowa." Couldn't have done it without him. But like I said, everyone there just stepped in, and that was one that was pretty much that. All of that one was kind of a classroom setting, and they were like, "Hey, we want more. Can you do more hands on next year?" And that was the plan, but we had to lay that foundation.
Yep.
I was fairly young in tracking.
Yep. Yep.
So we wanted to make sure we laid that foundation before we came back. So
for sure.
To get back on track, after Iowa is Alabama.
Yep.
And I believe this is going to be the 9th annual Alabama blood tracking seminar.
8th annual, according to the website.
I forgot to change that. This is the 9th.
This is the 9th? Okay.
Sorry about that. Yes. And actually that was started by Paul Couget and from Louisiana. And last year Paul kind of stepped back. It was just a lot. He had a lot going on. He was still there. He's still involved. He's involved with the organization. In fact, he was planning to be at Duval's this weekend, but he's also a Mason, and something came up where he had to attend and help with something there. And then after Alabama, it's Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And I shared that story about Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was pretty huge this year, going from a lot of need and bridging some gaps and bringing some people together, and I guess providing some structure, especially on the social media side of tracking. They made huge moves. Vicky Church, Chris Snell, Lauren, Bob Plubell, just huge this year. Michael Beck, he was instrumental. And so the Florida event, Charlie Webb and David Lassiter have kind of spearheaded that. Alabama event, Billy Hodgson, he's stepping up and he's quote unquote the host. It's an ABTA event. All of them except for the Duval are this year.
Yeah.
Iowa has been Jeff Still. Jeff Still organized it, or I should say the Iowa Blood Tracking Group. But Jeff Still's been the point of contact there. And then Pennsylvania is this year's Michael Beck. Michael Beck has went out. He's found the venue. He's organizing all that. He's doing a great job.
Yeah. Yep. Well, as Kayla put it on our phone the other night, state liaisons to help, facilitate the groundwork for on site. You need those people.
Right.
With Michael and everybody there. So okay. So for those taking notes at home, Louisiana Track Fest this weekend, February 21st to 23rd. Testing only. ABTA testing is what the ABTA is bringing to Randall's event, Duval Catahoulas. Then Florida blood trailing is a seminar and testing February 28th to March 2nd. Iowa Blood Tracker event is April 11th through the 13th. Seminar and testing. The 9th annual Alabama Blood Trailing Seminar, testing there too, right, Kenny?
Correct.
Yep. May 2nd through the 4th is Alabama testing and seminar. And then Pennsylvania, April 30th and June 1st, testing and seminar, right?
Correct.
Yep. So get it on your calendars if you want to attend, guys, and you can register through AmericanBloodTrackers.org online, right, Kenny?
Yes.
Yep.
And we do have some more potentially in the works.
Well, that was the next thing. So, what does that look like just from a potential standpoint? I know there's one we're flirting with, a northern state, which might be close to home for me. We're flirting with one there. Is there how many other are we flirting with? Not necessarily statewide, but just 3, 4.
There's one I've been in conversation with out west.
Okay.
Then there's been some conversations about one in the kind of Tennessee, Kentucky area. And honestly, at this point, if we were to do those, it would be more of a classroom setting with a little bit of hands-on, probably a one-day event.
Yeah.
But it'll lay the foundation for
exactly foundational for setting up some bigger stuff down the road. So the comment popped up. As long as we're on topic, Kenny, what town will the Alabama Tracking Seminar be held?
I've got to make a phone call. Historically, it's always been in the Demopolis area. I've got to reach back out to them and just verify that everything is still good there. We do have another option, and I cannot remember the town. So I will have that answer within the next, let's say within the next week. Kayla, remind me.
Yeah. Cool. So good stuff. And, from a standpoint. So before we dive into some of the comments and start entertaining viewer engagement here, if we step back now, knowing how the things that we've talked about, and the breakneck pace at which the ABTA is evolving and growing. What is Kenny Mullins as co-founder of the ABTA? What's the long-term vision for the ABTA?
I tell you, I want to keep doing what we're doing. I think we're on track for what's needed. More educational events. Now, I will say this: our focus has been on the trackers, and here's the reason: if we can educate the trackers, they will educate the hunting community. As long as we see the trends that we're seeing of the need for the education, the knowledge sharing within the tracking community, that's going to be our focus, and it will always be our focus. But long term, we need to reach the hunting community. It's that's the way you grow. What we do. Just Florida, for example, our first year, Paul Omer probably remembers the numbers. I want to say we ended the first season with like 400 members in our Facebook group. I reached out and I started sharing it on the hunting groups and social media. In 1 year, we went from 400 members to, I think it was 2,200 members the next year. Now I think we're like, I don't know, 16,000, 18,000, somewhere in there. we did the same thing in Georgia. Paul and I, we started the Georgia Blood Trailing Network also. Well, Pennsylvania last year, I think I shared this. You know, I don't even, I think they're at like 6,000 members, if I'm not mistaken, on their blood trackers. Yeah, 5,800 with like 80 something trackers. And before that, there was like 30 trackers. And so, I mean, that's in one season growing that big. You know, social media is where it's at. Well, how did we grow that in Pennsylvania? The same way we did it in Florida, Georgia. We hit all those hunting Facebook groups, you know.
Yep.
And so long term, we obviously we want to reach the hunting community, you know, and we want to just continue to share that knowledge about what we do, and then kind of break some barriers and
build some bridges.
Build some bridges. And there's still states where tracking is not legal.
Yep.
That between everyone involved within our community, that I think we can make progress there as well.
Cool. Well, I appreciate being asked to join the team, man, because I like all of that. You know, it fits. It just fits what most everybody in the tracking community wants to do anyway. You know, get better, grow, network, be collaborative, help each other be better. You know, that to me is what it's all about, and it's a lot of fun, man. And I'm looking forward. I'm worried that I'm going to overcommit myself, but I just can't help it with all of this stuff, because I just love it, man. It's just great stuff. So I'm
the same way. I've definitely overcommitted. That's just how I'm built.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's my life. Yeah, I do anything. I do sure. It 200%.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too, almost to a fault. So, cool. Well, let's, I do kind of want to tease or outline, before we jump off here, outline some of the ideas that we've kicked around, at least at a really high level, or at least at a just conceptual level of the things we got cooking, as far as future podcasts and lives. Well, let's hit some of these questions. You've got them there, Kenny? Do you want us to go through them?
Sure. Let's see. Ansley says she's from Georgia. We'll be attending the Alabama seminar coming up. We're looking forward to. I believe this was Ansley's first year. Been following her all along. Matthew Lord, Kenny, will you be coming to Iowa again this year for the tracking event? Yes. So Matthew, if I remember correctly, I believe that was. Remember when we talked about there was a test line that the dogs wouldn't take?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He was one of them.
Oh.
But it worked out.
Worked
out. Dylan, who's going to be the second Michigan judge? Well, I happen to know someone that applied. So you'll find out.
That person is currently being vetted, right, Kenny?
Yes.
Okay.
Michael Beck asked Jason Bell if he's ready for that new elite test. He has no choice.
Ready or not, here it comes.
So Jason Byer put gross. That was to the drone thing. Jason has had a time this year with drones in the area. I agree. This is Jason Byer. I agree. We are here to recover deer. That's why drones should never be allowed in our area. Tom Hill says, Kenny, you must not work because you're always cooking or playing on your phone for the ABTA. Multitasking.
There you go.
Tom Hill says, around here, all you have to do is start at the corn pile. Chuck Darby says, have you taught that drone how to sniff in the thickets? Yeah, so about that. It's pretty challenging in our area with the drone.
Yeah. Shameless plug. Go to the Tales on Trails deer tracking podcast with Darren, and that is covered, man. It's an insightful conversation.
Oh yeah, and I tell you, I spent a lot of money on something that my dogs are more efficient at in my area. I'll just say that.
Yep.
Randall Duvall, pass or fail, you guys are the best. Every single track and judge are there for the right reasons. Thank you, Rand.
Yeah.
Brian Wysong, let's go Iowa. Matt, do you follow Brian?
Is that what he means?
What's that?
That's the Go Hawks. That must be what he means.
Do you follow Brian at all?
No.
If you guys don't, you should. You talk about a cool dude. The only person I've ever met that can track with 2 dogs on lead.
Yeah, you know what? I want to hear more about that, Brian. I may get a hold of you and have you come on my Tales on Trails podcast. If I don't, I know shameless plug, but I want to hear about this 2 dog on lead. I can barely do 1 dog on lead without cussing my way through the track. 2, come on, bro.
And 2 beagles at that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I genuinely think that's cool.
Oh yeah. You need to follow Brian. He puts some cool videos and pictures and stuff. Just cool dude. We already answered Ryan's. Darren Miner says, how is the ABTA membership doing? I do not have that information. That's not a part that I handle, but we're doing good.
Yeah, it's growing. I mean, every day there's more and more people following the page, and then I know there's a formal membership through the website. So yeah, if you want to actually formally join, it can be done through the website. Yep.
Okay, so David Porter said Matt's dog ran his test fine. That was Dustin, dog that had problems. Maybe so. Yeah. Brian says 2 dog on lead test. Brian, your name was brought up when we did this, and if you want to run that 2 dog test on lead, we will have the ribbon made that says on lead for you. Because you're the only one I know that would do that.
That's funny.
All right. There's one for you, Matt, from Perry Lawrence.
Yeah, Perry. So, Matt, I have a neighbor here I think there's a tracking network in Michigan. He said he didn't think so. He keeps up with my tracking. How does him and his friends get in your network? Perry, give me a shout or shoot me a message. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. There's an application process, but we can talk a little more about it, buddy.
All right, so let's see, where were we at? Dylan, someday I definitely want a few more years under my belt. I would love to apprentice under a judge here in Michigan, though. Matt Lord says, David, the loudmouth bloodhounds are easy to mix up. I wasn't going to go there. Yeah.
That's funny. My bloodhound is not a loudmouth, though.
And then Dave says, even their owners look all the same. Oh, boy. Here we go.
Yeah.
So Matt Lord says you should talk about the crazy finish test you ran in Iowa last year. I, Matt, did you follow that at all?
No.
So Jeff Still ran a finish test, and whew, we were getting pretty tight on land to administer tests. It's every event we had last year were just unreal numbers of tests, just phenomenal. And so I'm just like tomorrow. I'm getting there early to map out the property, and I mapped it out. I mapped out Jeff's line. And not to go too far in depth, but on that test, there's two parts where there's other animal distractions or scent from other animals.
Yeah.
Well, we had other animals.
Oh,
We had a live rooster on the track and a live raccoon on the track.
for God's sakes. Caged up or tied to a tree or what?
The rooster was tied to a stake.
Voodoo crap are you guys doing out there?
The rooster was tied to a stake.
Okay.
The raccoon was alive in a cage. We had some fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I nearly broke my leg while laying that test line. It was an adventure. We got into one spot. It was literally a friggin' wall of briars. Tornado blowdowns it up and over and around. I mean, it was brutal. Probably the toughest test line I've ever laid, or that I was ever involved in laying. It was pretty dang tough. Yeah, the rooster was screaming its head off. It was sure something. And let me tell you, if you, I think we have some video of it. If you want to see a handler in action that's just top notch, it's Jeff Still. You know, top notch handling skills and top notch dog. That was fun.
It sounds like it. Now we got Perry saying, "Oh boy, he remembers a pig in the cage." What in the world is going on? Pigs and roosters and coons. Oh boy.
So we didn't have anything to do with the pig in the cage. That was a different association, different event.
Oh, it must be David Porter. Watch that test because that was with the Catahoula.
Yes.
Yeah, he wants one now.
And I'm telling you, I think we have a video on YouTube. I believe it may have been Jeff's hunter interview. Just awesome handling skills, just top notch.
Yeah, I might have to go look for that then. I'm always looking. Oh yeah, I have one. He says, "Okay, cool, cool." Well,
yeah,
we'll watch for other comments to come in. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Matt, I just want to say, you know, I want to thank you for hitting the ground running, and you know, we've got a lot on lined up, and I hope you don't mind me sharing a little. I'm not going to go into full detail.
No, I was just getting ready to do the same thing. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you put together this awesome schedule, you know, with some event previews. You know, I reached out to a friend who happens to have a TV show, a hunting show that has utilized trackers. And you know, as soon as we finalize his schedule, you know, that's one. You know, got some training series coming up. You've put together a great schedule.
Well, and it was a group effort because you and Kayla both contributed, but so yeah, to just to put a little bit of color on that or depth to it, I think we have 19. What we do is we have a Google Doc, a shared Google Doc, where we kind of list the ideas, and I think there are 19 topics listed here, and like 6 or so of them are multi they're going to be a series. So we have a lot of stuff. Will they all be lives? Probably not, but they'll be a combination of lives and podcasts, just because just logistically all of it coming together. But conceptually, for like the training, there are like 5 sub bullets under training. Will we cover all 5 in a live? Maybe not. We'll figure that out as we go. But it's multi series. You can't cover training in 1 hour and a half or 2 hour live stream, to the depth to make it meaningful for people, so we'll hit those, and and it's going to be multi-part series. So I think there's a lot of good stuff coming, man. I'm really stoked about it. There's some some potential home runs, I'll call them, if we could pull it off. A lot of this stuff is it's on the ideas list in the schedule, and we've got to pull it together. If you're interested in thinking, looking ahead, if you're interested in learning about particular different breeds, Kenny, you talked about last time, we're gonna start a breed series, bringing on breed experts, talking about a specific breed. We'll kick it off on a live with that breed expert, and then we'll just filter in between lives and in podcast platforms and stuff like that. So obviously all that stuff will be broadcast, so you know what's coming. But just some really good fun stuff. And we're always going to be moving and shaking, because if we can get a topic that pops up that's hot, or could be a great one, we'll move stuff around, and we're gonna strike while the iron's hot, kind of what we talked about a little bit. So meanwhile, this viewer engagement thing is a huge part of it. I think it's a ton of fun. It's sort of weird for me not having Ralph on. I mean, the professor, I call him the professor because he looks like a professor to me. Ralph the Professor Bennett, and the Ralph Bennett School of Technology for Gifted Professionals. I think we'll start a new series, Ralph's tech tip of the day or something like that, but no, a lot of good stuff, a lot of fun stuff. I, like you said, I indulge almost to a fault, but I warned you about that, so this is what I get. We call him the closer. Oh, you're talking about Ralph, must be Kayla's talking about. Okay.
Yeah. So in our Florida Blood Trailing Network admin chat, there's some nicknames, and Ralph is real estate broker.
Oh, okay. yeah, that's right. The closer. Got it.
And Kayla is the dream maker and heartbreaker, because she does the finance side, the mortgage side.
Pat Benatar wrote a song about her.
Yep.
Awesome, man.
So Joe Sellers comments said, it seems to me like if y'all recorded these seminars, that would be very educational for trackers and hunters alike on something like YouTube videos list under y'all's Facebook. Here's the thing, Joe. We've talked about that, and we have recorded, and we actually had some professional recordings done. However, you miss a lot by not being there. And if we just put all of this out there, it would take away from people wanting to attend because of the ease of watching it on YouTube. And I'm telling you, the sidebar conversations and the relationships you make are invaluable.
And the back and forth and real time engagement,
right?
You lose some of that. there may be something, some, 10-minute tutorial, there may be something there, but you're right. As far as the depth of the content, yeah, that's really, that's done in real time, I think.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was the song at the Kayla talking about the Heartbreaker, Dream Maker, Love Taker. Don't you mess around with me? Yeah, okay. No one's listening to hear me sing. Cool. Kenny, any? I think we're kind of there, man.
Yeah.
Any parting words? Any last minute comments? We'll see. I don't even remember what next week topic we have scheduled for. But,
it's the Florida preview. But we'll talk. I think may add something to that.
Yeah. We'll the Florida preview. Yeah, the preview shows. We talked about. What I like to do is try to get those at least 30 days in advance, roughly. Give people time to think about it, get on a schedule so they know what's up as much as the things are going to be developed at that time. But yeah, we'll talk. We'll figure it out. So
I got a couple of more things. One, so there's a new podcast out. I'm gonna throw them a plug.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So One Track Mind.
Yep.
They have 2 episodes out now. I will actually be recording an episode with them. Lindsay contacted me today. We will be recording one, or they will be recording one with me, and I extended the invite for them to join us in the near future.
Yeah, that's good. In fact, the one that just dropped today, the one that published today should be a good listen. In fact, I'll probably listen to that on my flight home Thursday morning.
Yeah, it's an hour and 47 minutes with Al Sherman.
Yeah, and just so happens to be my flight's about an hour and 47 minutes, so it'll be perfect.
I'll probably listen to it tomorrow on the way to Louisiana, and my kids will probably be ready to kill me by the end of it.
Yeah.
And of course the Tales and Trails.
Oh yeah, my little hobby thing. Yeah, but I listened to the first one of Lindsay and Matt's, and I mean it's well done, man. I mean it almost embarrasses me that for what I do, but I'm going to keep doing what I do.
Well, that's Matt's profession,
Yeah, I did get that, and in their debut episode, and I was a little jealous, but nonetheless, it's well done. It's absolutely worth listening. Yeah, Dylan says it was an awesome podcast with Al.
So Matt Lord says, I agree with you. Learn a lot in person, just through side conversations and stories from far more experienced trackers and their past tracking adventures. Michael Beck, will we need any props for PA testing?
Hippopotamus, I think, right?
What's that?
A hippopotamus for distractions.
Maybe I can bring a gator up.
Oh
no. I will let you know. I know we have a few people signed up for testing, but I will definitely let you know, Mike. Ansley says, we are new to ABTA, but ready to see what's in store for us. This coming season will be our second season, so I'm excited to learn more and improve our tracking from you guys. I know my dog is ready to get back out there.
Oh boy, aren't they?
And that's the great thing about these events and these seminars is it keeps you active and your dog active outside the season. Perry Lawrence got you 2 more hides. Appreciate that, Perry. Real quick. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me lately in numerous states. New people getting into tracking that trying to learn, or looking for supplies. Typically I try to keep on hand around 500 legs, 500 to 700 legs a year. we don't always go through that many, but we do a lot of training. But I just want to say, if you are new and you're watching this, you're looking to get into it, just reach out to your local networks, your local trackers. Reach out to us. We'll try to help find you supplies.
Yep.
So,
Kenny, Chris Rodriguez is asking, do you have any trackers and/or judges in Texas?
several trackers, no judges at this time. And I know there's a lot of trackers. Just this year, I'd have to ask my wife. I think we trained 8 dogs from Texas this year. I think we have 4 or 5 more coming. That's on the schedule. That's not counting years previous. I think we've probably in the last 2 to 3 years, we've probably trained 20, 30 dogs from Texas. So there's definitely trackers in Texas.
Oh, for sure. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, hey, keep the questions coming, guys, as we get ready to sign off here. We'll can chime in afterwards if they come in. If you have something that you'd like to hear us talk about, no promises made, but we welcome your input and feedback. Maybe you got a cooler idea than what's on our list, but yeah.
I did see a comment come in from Dylan. Did you ever get around to discussing what I asked you in the master? I have not yet. We've been very, very busy with the 2 events coming up, but I do have it in plan to discuss, not this weekend, but the next, we're going to have an in-person board meeting, with the majority of the board. So we definitely have some states without judges, but that's stuff we're working on. We have a couple, I believe, that signed up in New Jersey that we're going to be working with this year, that will likely become judges. Actually, I think 3 people. So that's pretty exciting. And then, probably have some here soon in the Midwest.
Yeah. Fun stuff, man.
Oh, yeah. Before I forget, I do plan on recording some podcasts while we're in Louisiana this week. I did not, I haven't even told Randall Duvall that, but we're going to get some podcast in. It may even just be some short ones. I will get some pictures and videos that we will be sharing from that event.
Cool. Yep. All right, guys. Well, cool. I think Kenny, you're not used to me actually driving here, so when we drop off, hang with me for a minute. I want to chat with you a little bit when we stop recording. But again, guys, thanks for letting me drive the ship tonight, man. And I hope it was everything that the listeners had come to expect from the stuff you and Ralph have created here. So again, I'm humbled and flattered to be a part of it. I thank you, Kenny. I thank the listeners and viewers for accepting me, and more stuff to come, and a lot of I think really, really cool stuff coming, man.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Barring any parting words, I think we're at a good point here. Hour 44 in.
All righty. We will see y'all next week.
All right, guys. More the good, less the bad, guys. We'll talk to you soon.